We continue our blistering pace here as we take a look at Group D, Day 3 of the Demacia Cup. Big thank you to 4x4 and Jomata as they held down the first 3 games, but my friend Alk, as we step in, I think we got the better half of the schedule, and boy, do we start out with a banger, especially with how the day's already gone.
Especially because, it was a funny story. Jamato was actually supposed to be here for the entire day. Unfortunately, I had to step out due to some IRL matters. But when he was saying, like, hey, can you step in? I was like, yeah, sure. And then he waited a few moments and said, you know, you're actually going to have more of the IG game. So maybe I'm doing you a favor. I was like, that's how that works. But I appreciate the sentiment, nonetheless.
Yeah, we get to see Invictus Gaming step back in here. Took pretty good control against LGDY. I would say that's what we're expecting when it comes to those LPL staple orgs taking on the LDL representatives coming up. But last couple days, it's been hard to really track that. IG, though, in a comfortable position, like we were able to talk about, and with NIP taking that first game over against RNG, the now basically departed RNG. This is a game that can really decide what the bracket stage looks like, especially when you're talking about who's coming out of Group D.
Both of these teams coming up 1-0 on the day already, and a lot of great storylines. Obviously, the gaming one, right? A roster that is supposed to invoke a lot of that there, and for individuals like this is, I think, a really cool story of being able to play against an org that he's been on previously, most recently in IP, and even playing against a former player of IP's elemental system in the LPL, he's play against many. So I'm kind of looking forward to this, and I want to see from NIP maybe a little bit more growth, and from what the games we saw from the team, my focus is going to be on that bottom row. Has had, I think, some great moments, but has unfortunately not been able to really call that off for voting circumstances. And for NIP, we're bringing in this bot lane that can look fast as the year goes on, but definitely needs a little bit of time to cook.
Definitely, indeed, needs some time to cook. Could not agree more with you there. But it's going to be fun. I mean, hey, got to remember, if you're here yesterday, you know myself and Alk, the AD carry main's on the desk, so you're not going to be surprised that we want to focus on these bottom laners as a big-time impact. Leave had that really good Jhin game up when we saw NIP the first time round, but there is no better test than taking on the members of this IG roster across the board. Obviously, Gala, and I'm really interested when we talk about, Gala alongside his support, right? Because Mako obviously goes from playing a lot of time with Jackie Love, one of the best when it comes to the LPL. Gala definitely up there these last couple of years. I'm really curious to see how they're able to synergize together, because as fun as it is to talk about the return of the Shy, this top side, you mentioned how Rookie makes the step up to this IG roster from NIP. I think Gala and Mako are really, really solid and can be really the front runners for this roster when you're talking about the future of LPL into the LPL season, Demacia Cup, and obviously a roster like this looking even further abroad than both of those two areas.
Yeah, they would love to make it into an international, and I like what Jamada kind of used to talk about this team when they were on the bounce back. Just wanting to see Gala on a team with a little bit more consistency, give him the ball to be able to carry the game, and hopefully this IG roster can prove to give the results that the fans are maybe looking for. We're already into draft here. Big ones for me in terms of the bans already. Rumble has had such high priority here in the tournament in Demacia Cup, and rightfully so. It's been really, really good when we look at all of the different top laners that have been able to pick it up. Skarner here on the red side. Already, I'm kind of maybe going to be looking at 80 carries. Varus has been very high priority for everybody wanting to take strong matchups.
Renata also going to close out those bans. Victor taken away. I know you got to see a little bit of that towards the back half of our day yesterday, but classic B1 left up here. Gala's going to gobble up that Ashe. I mean, this is a stock standard of a true B1 as you can get.
Ooh, and without the Rumble ban, maybe getting another Ambessa game here in the group. It was talked about earlier that the Rumble versus Ambessa matchup, everyone keeps being willing to take it. Doesn't seem like it's necessarily firing away at being the great one. So with now it being taken away, getting this Ambessa for Shanji, giving him some more agencies is, I think, more along the lines of what we wanted to see. When Shanji has succeeded, it has been on sometimes mostly the fringe picks. I'm thinking of his Shyvana top lane, even a little bit of like his I wouldn't say Rumble's a pocket pick, but he's one of the like Rumble, the Udyr players that are really, really good here in the league. And hopefully with something like the Ambessa, we can see a little bit more. And already now, the Renekton matchup, though, that's got to be something you have to be looking forward to, as Renekton has been super dominant when we're talking about these two top laners.
It's a good test. We've seen a very little bit of the Shy after his return to the competitive scene here. Getting the Renekton and Ambessa matchup, that's going to be fireworks at the top side. I do like how NIP able to grab that Ziggs up on the turn here to kind of nullify the effect Ashe can have on the lane. You can safely farm. You have the range advantage over the Ashe. We're going to get the Vi locked in here for JJ, though, to bring across just a classic engage combination, right? You get the Ashe arrow, you got the cease and desist. Lot of single target lockdown already showing here for IG.
I was wondering what support we were going to get here on 3, because there was, I think, a ton of options for NIP, whether or not they were going to try to go for the Rakan, or we were going to see the Leona like we see now, potentially a Braum. And this time around, going for a bit of CC, like you're saying. I like the Ziggs being able to outrange the Ashens in certain moments, especially once we have the ultimate. That's going to be something that they're looking for. Vi, though, her target's not looking great so far. You're either jumping onto Ambessa, maybe you're jumping onto a Ziggs, but Ziggs can definitely abuse some of that range. Getting into the second phase of bans here, the mid lane matchup, we teased it just a little bit earlier, but Rookie versus Neni. For Neni, I think he's looking for those AD matchups. We saw, as someone who has previously been a top laner, he picked up the Aurelia earlier on today and was able to take a win. But when it comes to the mages, Rookie, in terms of his experience, has looked really well. And then the LeBlanc might seem very weird when you look at the kind of landscape of mid right now, but Rookie, especially in the last couple months, pulled it out as like a pocket. Didn't always go the way that he wanted to, but he was one of the best LeBlancs when he's on fire and on point.
You could tell the NIP draft, you're talking about how Neni likes to lean away sometimes from those traditional mages. That's why maybe you saw that Ziggs priority already come out, because it allows you to take maybe someone AD into the mid lane, not necessarily have to play another control mage with the Ziggs already bringing that artillery factor. So we see the Corki ban rounded out here for IG. Just a stock standard ban. I like it with the flexibility that Ziggs also technically brings between a mid and AD role. Corki very much the same. They were hovering the Darius earlier. We've already seen some Darius jungle all the way back, I believe, all the way on day 1 to kick off the Demacia Cup. Didn't have the best performance, and that's a much more safer bet with the Maokai getting locked in here.
I was going to see if maybe Aki was looking for a Wukong angle. That was one of the more popular matchups we got all last year, which is just Vi versus Wukong. But instead goes for the Maokai, gives them some clear engage. Mertreads is getting a fair bit of value right now for the side of IG, so going to be looking to how they round out their draft. They're definitely going to need a mage here coming out from Rookie with Victor, LeBlanc band, Aurora as well. I wonder if we're going to be maybe going into an Orianna territory. Would definitely suffer up against a Leona and a Ziggs, but I think that the just utility of the champion and how robust her kit is makes it very difficult. But instead actually maybe going for a bit more of an aggressive look with the Ahri.
This is pretty aggressive. You're really leading into playmaking out once those ultimates come online into the mid game. If this Ahri gets locked in, I am a bit worried about the IG damage profile. If this game scales up, I'm much more comfortable with the Sylas being available there. Has some pretty key ultimates you can steal away. I like his damage ramping up a bit more than the Ahri. Obviously, like you mentioned, Ahri is classic next to a Vi, next to an Ashe as well. But I like the playmaking Rookie. He's against his old team here. Let's give him the flashy Sylas, see if he can blow this game open.
Ooh, so it is actually going to be the Maokai going over.
Oh,
it seems like they're, yeah, maybe they put the Ambessa into mid lane up against the Sylas. I have to imagine this is a pretty fun matchup to play. We have so many mobilities, and somewhat in a similar way, thanks to Ambessa's passive, we're going to be seeing like a Sylas versus like AD Sylas sort of matchup. It's going to be very explosive, and that seems like that's going to be the strategy for NIP, at least here in Demacia Cup in the group stage. Give AD mid laners over to Neni and try to prep this up. Really big reliance on Leave as the kind of sole magic damage dealer for this squad. Like you were saying for IG, while you might prefer the Sylas side of this for the team, I think that they're very low range, and suddenly you're going to be playing up against a Leona. There's a Maokai on the enemy team. It can be very difficult to actually bypass this front line if IG are not creative in their flanks, or maybe even lowering the HP of some of their members before an objective fight.
See, that kind of logic's why they gave you the cool jacket. You're right. I mean, the range definitely is going to be an issue. I really like the end of that draft for NIP as well. We talk about the top side. Obviously, it would have been fun to see that explosive Ambessa Renekton matchup with the Shy taking on Shanji, but Maokai, just a nullifier, right? It's just so pesky to really get much of a lead into the Maokai, punish him routinely with his constant sustain, expecting that grass Maokai top to just become so tanky that the Shy's Renekton will have trouble dealing with at a certain point here. Does still give the Shy a pretty good lane to be able to farm up and constantly punish tempo in this early phase.
This is going to be a game that I feel is going to be very indicative of Invictus Gaming's entire year. When you look at how this roster kind of wants to operate, you have two incredible solo laners. The Shy, obviously, someone who kind of giveth and taketh as a double-edged sword, but you give him a lane where he, in theory, should be able to get priority very easily. You can play for topside grubs, and then as the game goes on, Renekton can eventually be a great team fighter, has his own ability to be a split pusher on the side lane, Sylas as well. So I want to see with these pieces, alongside having Gala and Mako as your bottom lane, you have a very easy way of setting up the rest of your team, and this is going to be one where kind of that damage profile, I know we were worried about whether or not the DPS was going to be particularly high. I think when we look at these fights, it's either going to be those one knockout punches with an Ashe ultimate or with the Ziggs coming over top from the enemy team. We're going to get really long, dragged out fights. Conqueror stacks are going to be flying high at 12.
Oh yeah, we got some full tanks too. They'll just be gobbling up, you know, getting a ton of unending despair stacks coming across. But that split push angle, I think, you know, playing the map is going to be very interesting, especially for IG, because with this Sylas and the Renekton, I think you can reliably, depending on how this early game goes, potentially have either Rookie or the Shy try and answer Nenny on these side lanes. But that is a bit away as we hit Summoner's Rift for what is the biggest match so far from Group D. You get a win here from IG or NIP. You're sitting 2-0. You're feeling pretty darn good about bracket stage appearances.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting stun locked. I'm pretty sure production, not our production, because LPL English have the best production, obviously. They didn't turn off the names for the players, so they're overlapped on NIP. For anybody, we'll probably get that solved later as the game kind of goes on. But early invade, remember, you have the Leonum. That level 1 is incredibly potent. And seeming like they want to, at the very least, find where Jeje is and set themselves up for a pretty good map state. If you can split the map versus Vi, I think you're in a great spot. They're even going for a lane swap, so immediately neutralizing the Shy very early on. And we'll see how he's able to operate here, because the Shy, like I was saying, he's a player that very easily can fall in a 2v1 if they set up a dive correctly. He has been a large pain point for some of the rosters he's been on in years past.
While it is, you know, difficult to leave an Ashe to their own devices on the bot side, not the biggest threat when you talk about free farm 80 carries. And you pointed out, Alk, I mean, the Shy is really just locked in to playing as much dodgeball as he can with some of these Qs. And we do have Aki spotted on that ward, so the Shy already sniffing out the dive that was brewing, and it's going to back all the way away from his tier 1 turret. No experience, no gold coming to this Renekton anytime soon.
I was wondering if maybe they were going to try to move over. So Mako is on his way, but there's 4 members. They get pushed in mid. Immediately Shanji moves on over. And so they're just going to completely cut out the top side of getting any gold and experience here. Let's see how much damage Gala can get down onto this turret. With the Ziggs, he does so much damage to structures. That passive is going to be there, and then eventually you can knock it down early with the W. Shanji's just being very, very annoying. They can try to get some damage, but it's not really meaningful, right? All of this means to just take away resources from the top and support of IG.
My favorite part always about these cool lane swaps is watching the mid laners just kind of play their own game. As the Shy goes for the most influential but low range teleport between his own lane to get back here. He's just trying to shove for level 2 here with the big amount of cast minions stacked up, but he's thrown out from his under turret, and in goes TP God. They get the lockdown, and first blood over to Aki. What a set of plays from the Shy, desperately trying to get something back.
Thank you to our observers. Look at how many minions, how much gold that is going to be missing here for this Renekton. TP to try to get the wave, but no one is in the area. So now he's lost his flash. He's lost his teleport, has to walk all the way back to his lane. I mean, the biggest benefactor out of all of this is going to be Mako. He's going to be able to hit level 3 here and pick up all of this experience. The wave actually does end up being pretty good. It's going to eventually push out in favor of NIP, but that's such a huge win for the Ninjas in Pajamas. Great job on the dive, and a fantastic punish for, I think, the Shy overestimating how tanky and how fast he would be able to hit level 2.
I don't think he was ready for that satchel charge either.
He has the
leave.
least amount of XP!
Oh, it's so rough. And the wave's bouncing away from him, by the way, too, here. So it's just not going to get any easier. But how much do you feel like this is going to swing that IG early game going forward, that the Shy just needs so much time really just catch up at this point?
Well, one of the problems with Silas very early on, until he's able to pick up a little bit more spells, as good trading onto the Shy, again, this wave just going to be bouncing towards the turret in favor of NIP, is with Nenny, all you're really worrying about is Ambessa is your HP. You're an energy-based champion, you're going to be able to constantly push the wave whenever you want, and as long as there's not a jungler or maybe a support to be able to connect from IG, you're going to always be able to win this matchup for the time being, especially with D shield start. So it's really tough for JJ. He doesn't have very many winning lanes at this point, especially in a lane swap. Typically, in a lane swap, you're looking to try to get experience onto your jungler, try to focus some way, but maybe avoid some of the bad matchups. NIP have done a great job so far early on of being able to kind of get around that, and mostly, I think, instead of getting around the bad matchup, they're just really trying to get the Shy behind, because he has been someone who doesn't necessarily lose with grace. He will always try to find an all-in. He will try to find the 1v1, 1v2, and a lot of times does end up generating a lot of gold for the opponents. It was a very popular strategy when he was playing last year. Just send junglers top lane, gank him, and suddenly your top laner's up like 2 or 3 kills.
Finally, we see the Shy make his move towards the bot side just to try to start collecting some farm and experience on his own. As we saw Leaf really putting on the Freeze 101 artistry with that wave. Gala up there, though, will be able to swing it. Mid laner is still brawling in that melee versus melee matchup. There's the public execution used as that he's going for the outplay onto Rookie, but doesn't have enough in the tank to get the kill finished off. JJ there to protect his mid laner.
Okay. NIP just sending all the troops over to push this mid wave. They want to play for these Heralds super early. Now, Rookie has taken the ultimate here of Shanji, but is incredibly low. I just don't think this is going to be a fight that they're looking for from the side of IG. All of this to say, finally, they've given over a large amount of gold. I think NIP, by making these plays in mid and protecting Nenny, have actually given up quite a little bit of gold in this manner, and maybe even the Chai can start to rubber band back into this game with the huge wave that's crashing. Leave is going to be able to catch this eventually, but I think a little bit too late. That's 2 plates now going over to the Shy. He's going to hit level 6 pretty soon. Actually, just hit level 5, so probably within the next 3 waves, he's going to be able to grab that for himself. Within the last couple seconds here, pretty big advantage going back over to IG, even though they do lose those grubs.
Really good job stabilizing from that disastrous topside start for the early game. Dragon grabbed up. Rookie going to make his way back towards the topside with that stolen Maokai ult as well. And with the pressure kind of alleviated towards this topside, got to expect that IG are going to look to play pretty heavily for that next set of grubs. But Aki's still got a pretty good setup in this enemy topside jungle, stealing away a whole quadrant of camps. And there isn't much for JJ to get on the back turn. He's going to be able to trade blue buffs, but Gromp and Wolves available for Aki if he wants to take it.
This is just part of the vertical jungle here, as we see NIP just setting up camp up in topside. He knows all of those camps. He has the respawn timer after those, doing it on the first clear. So great job coming out from Aki to immediately get those. A lot of value for him as well. I wonder, after this trade, is he going to go for a topside gank, which I think is pretty difficult when you think about the damage profile, how little I think both he and Shanji are actually going to be able to do. Sending out the Nature's Grasp, immediately get the flash out from Rookie.
Field goal is good for Gala. That went right through the uprights. Unfortunately, not the game we're playing.
I wanted to see Aki immediately hit a recall and go bottom lane, because he knows, look, if I'm taking his top quadrant, then he has to be on the bottom side of the map. And with Ashe Ultimate, I was thinking, okay, you can try to look for potentially a dive onto this bottom lane. You know Leave just uses teleport. If you can find a kill, maybe force him off of the wave, you're actually in a really good spot when you think about the lanes that they've already set up for themselves. Now, Renekton back in the mid lane, who's actually able to get some chip damage onto this mid turret, almost quite getting that plate in the mid lane. And now we're back in those matchups that we were talking about from draft, except it's the Silas versus Maokai top lane, and Bessa is facing Renekton mid lane. We've done like a little player swap here, and I think IG have, at the end of the day, responded very well, even though the early game looked a little worrisome.
My favorite part is the Shy's now farmed waves in every lane. And we're only 9 minutes in at this point.
He's a well-traveled man. It's just what happens when you're one of the most influential players to grace League of Legends, right? There is an entire generation of players and top laners that saw the Shy's championship and were like, oh, I need to go play League. I want to play exactly like him.
That brings the target, the name recognition, but also a target on your back. The Shy knows it better than most. Gotta look towards this next set of grubs. Still about a minute 30 out. Feel the Rift kind of calmed down. The fact there aren't too many big neutrals to play for. Still a bit of a ways away out from big first item power spikes as well. Closest being Aki on that Trinity Force. Could be a big player if we're talking about playing for those mites with NIP. Already got 3 grubs in the tank.
He's probably not going to be able to finish that Trinity Force anytime before these grubs. Unless he picks up a surprise kill or is able to farm out this mid wave, he can get a scuttle. He can sneak back over to the objective. And I'm looking for what IG can do as they are going to hope that they can at least contest, take away the grubs. Remember, one of the parts we talked about from draft was the fact that in the isolation, once we get later into this game, the solo lanes here for IG are going to be very competent split pushers. So we're looking for them to be able to at least have at least 3 grubs coming into this fight. And if they can't secure it, then suddenly NIP are looking down the barrel of having a Ziggs and 6 grubs on their side. That is an incredible boon to have, and that's going to be a massive amount of gold generation they can get once we start to see more and more of these structures fall.
Ziggs with mites available is a pain point. You got to think about how many structures you lose when you drop any fight going forward for IG. We saw the last ultimate come online. Mako grabs that quickness. So all ultimates available. Grubs hit the rift here. We see Aki start them off as the support start priming. No top lane. Shanji can be able to swing over for this fight as the first grub does drop for Aki. Zenith Blade does not go in, but there's the cease and desist Ashol combo. They don't even let Aki play the game. He's just stun locked completely as Gala gets the Q volley, start firing. Public execution down for Nenny, but he gets flash vault breakered in from JJ. A minute window found for IG, but a big win needed as they clean up the rest of the grubs.
Triple kill going over to Gala. 3 grubs in the back end of there, or 2 grubs, sorry, as NIP are able to grab 4. So they'll have mites, and neither top lane are TPing. The Shy, I think, applying a great amount of pressure onto Shanji to prevent him from TPing, not making sure that he doesn't get canceled on that teleport. Great job from IG there to be able to win that fight. An amazing crowd control here as the Shy walks up.
Face checks a brush.
Mako's here.
Dominus.
Ooh.
Just for enough HP.
They want
going to be down.
Though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. So Mako's here. Look, I don't know how much you're actually going to be able to defend this turret. I kind of want to see Shanji actually step up with them so they can allow the Ziggs to hit the turret. Maybe afraid of more members from Invictus coming on over. Starting up this Dragon now, however, means IG can answer this. I think they're going to be more preferential towards playing for their lanes, getting themselves gold. They obviously did just make a pretty big fight. Rookie can teleport for this play and will have that ultimate up and available if they really want to try to go for it. But yeah, we get to take a look at this replay now as just immediately turning. They know, hey, Aki doesn't have any spells. Boom, lands the Ashe ultimate. They're able to get the Zenith Flare as well, stolen by Rookie, and leaves not really in a great position to deal damage. He put a large portion of his spells on that choke coming in from the blue side, and that just means that he's not able to apply any kind of damage. So IG come out victors on that fight. They do lose a little bit of the mites, but I think giving Gala 3 kills this early on, still you got to be feeling great.
Gala with a kill index is always fun when you're a part of the IG fandom. I'm glad to see that Invictus Gaming already showed off how important their conditions with these ultimates are. Chaining them together, it's what they drafted for at their core when we saw this Ashe and Vi turned in that first phase. With the Rakan as well on the quickness, and like you called out, stolen solar flares. That's really just exactly how IG are going to want to play these fights. Rinse and repeat. Single out one member with those ultimates and burst them down. As we do see Mako forcing the flash out of Nenny. Respect for the knockup, but there might be more danger coming.
So they're on their way. As long as Aki can live, or then he has to live here.
Oh, Gala gets the snipe for the max timing stun lock. And once again, it's the ultimates chained together to find a single target pick for IG as they take over the top
arrived.
lane. IP looking for the response. They've got ultimates of their own. Aki trying to step up with leave. Solar Flare going to spot out JJ as he drops the Cyclone. In goes Mako trying to buy space with Rookie, but he drops. JJ has a wave to exit up through the top of the lane. So they'll end up trading kills.
I love when top laners get a little feisty with each other. I think this is a vibes ultimate right now.
It's always about getting the ults out. That's every time I watch top laners brawl, it's like the first fight is them just like poking at each other, like daring each other to really go aggressive. And then once somebody pops an ultimate, that's when all bets are off. We're really throwing hands.
They're like, okay, we're doing this. All right, let's.
This is real.
Let's
okay.
Up right now. We're setting up the TPs. However, we already see the Shy doesn't have that ultimate. IG are going to be looking to take this Herald. NIP not really in a position to try to go for this fight thanks to losing out a little bit on that top side. So getting 2 grubs for themselves, also get the Herald. This is what we wanted to see from IG in their game plan. If the Shy can escape, I think NIP have had a pretty weak back half to this early game already.
Oh, the timing on that flash. It brings Shanji with him through the slice and dice and the flash. Doesn't have enough HP. He got flashes over the wall. Jesus Blade does not land. Just Shy with the Ignite on top. Will finally fall, but costed a lot more summoners than expected for NIP.
And all of this just to get Rookie his own first turret here. So gold being put into the mid laner of IG. And we take a look at this replay. I wanted to see IG execute this dive incredibly fast as we saw that NIP were on their way. Nenny tries to use the public execution to buffer the Vi ultimate, isn't able to get all of that interaction going through with how much crowd control landed onto him. Now IG send a response.
Yeah, back to live. Gala doesn't hit the arrow, but they get the slows on a PP God. Teleport coming from behind. Nenny is here as well. They've got to burn through this Leona quickly. They'll pick up the kill, but there's the explosive bomb through. Nenny trying to get towards Gala, who has that big shutdown gobbled up by the nature's grass, and it's the alcove attack coming across for NIP as they wipe themselves 3 kills, a double over to Aki.
They put themselves in the choke, and I mean, it just makes it easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel there. You've got the Maokai, you've got the Ziggs. Super easy stuff there for NIP as they get themselves a response kill for an early game that, again, hasn't really been going their way. After the swap, it was looking great for them. They were able to punish the Shy, but IG, I think, played the map really well and then able to leverage the fact that they have such powerful ultimates on their team ready to go for the fight. So the Shy, he gets right back into this lane. He pushes another one to go, and Rookie trying to get some damage onto PP God. This is minute before the Dragon, so if you can force a support out, it's a great look.
He's getting poked out. Leave has so much damage on this Ziggs already. Really started to chunk through Rookie's health bar. Doesn't have the teleport. Called out that Dragon. Still a good amount of time left for him to get the reset off, but playing pretty close as we get a second look at this bottom lane play. Arrow going wide.
We're going to miss out on the setup for this Dragon, but you get to take a look at this play like we were saying. It's not a great trade just because, yes, you are trading for PP God, but it is like the Avengers assemble. Everybody's coming to fight in bot lane, and there we go.
Avengers assemble to target the Shy again. Aki has more than enough damage with this accelerated Wukong. The response for IG, though, trying to turn up the pressure dial in this mid lane. The Rift Herald should be able to knock down the tier 1, but they're not playing back towards the Dragon, knowing they have so little control towards that side of the map now.
With the Shy dying, I thought maybe you could even still contest for this Dragon. Yes, he is going to spawn in 10 seconds. There are Hex Tech gates here, so maybe they could be a little bit late to the objective and still look for the fight. Instead, they're going to prioritize getting gold, and specifically that mid-tier 1 really opens up the play. You'll already see IG making multiple members move on over to the top side, while Shanji with the 4 grubs, the mites, as well as the demolish, is going to pick himself up that bot tier 1. A bit of gold going over to NIP, and they're going to grab themselves their second Dragon of the game. As long as they have the Ziggs has to play really far back if he wants to catch the mid wave, which just allows for, with how much control they have on this top quadrant, you have Gala, you have Mako, they can always look for anything, especially with JJ and the ult.
Nenny's setting a trap, but this is the IG side of the map, pretty dominated. Inferno Bomb comes
there
across.
It is.
Arrow again from Gala halfway across the map. This guy's got an eye for landing these stuns. It's deja vu this time under the tier 2 turret, Nenny dies.
He's like, look, Leave, you took my Ziggs. I'm probably not going to play Kaisa this game, so why not I just use a champion that has one of the most influential ultimates of the season. Great job from IG. They remake that play. They literally made that happen like 5 minutes ago. Nenny was top lane. They send all the members under the top tier tier 1, and they make it happen again. Deja vu here for NIP as Nenny goes down again. They lose control on a side lane, and whenever you are down members, it's really hard to match on the map. So great job from IG to kind of turn that pressure of, hey, you're playing in Fog of War around the top side, you don't know where our team is, to immediately a kill and getting a little bit of chip damage away from NIP.
Both are true top lane champions. Definitely been put pretty far behind. Nenny in a similar spot to the Shy. Only ever present when you see that they're both rushed that Eclipse build. So the battle of the front lines that you hyped up so well, Alk, gonna be lacking some damage for a bit here between the shortcomings so far of the Shy and Nenny.
Thankfully for NIP, that's just gonna be Leona Maokai's job. He does not need frontline this game. So here we go. We get cinematic cam as well.
Ooh.
Ashe ultimate landing from range. And I love how Rookie also played this as well. Just gets out of turret range after tanking a little bit, steals the public execution, and wow, we come back to life, but Aki finds the kill into Renekton.
Oh, they are just marking the Shy for Torment this game. See, the Solar Flare was used, Inferno Bomb, and Cyclone. So 3 ults were used just to drop the Shy there. And here comes the turn. Astro smartly chunked in by the clone. Aki gonna flash to create some distance. Classic support gameplay right now as PP God will have to sacrifice himself. Gala miscalculated the autos. Volley doesn't get the kill either. This is taking a bit longer than expected. Gala does clean up.
Maybe the Shy is actually, you know, Kajol showed him a little bit of love in their Worlds run a couple years ago, and oh, Shanchi's actually just teleporting out. Wonderful. What I was going to say is the Shy might be in tone with Baus's Law. He is constantly going down. Yes, he is losing out on golden experience. He has been the target of a lot of attention from the enemy jungle, but I mean, look at how his team is playing the map. They're still able to get some on the other side. Now, the Shy, unfortunately getting vision. There's no dragon to be playing for the time being, so just getting caught out for being a bit too aggressive, but all this is happening. You're getting gold into Gala. Rookie is being a side-laning menace right now by just constantly getting attention onto this top side, and as long as they can continue this pattern of play, I don't think that IG are under that much stress right now for where we're at.
Well said. I like how they can play towards that top lane control. Like you're talking about. Baron has hit the rift as we crest over the 20-minute mark, and they'll send the Shy back towards the top side. This is where I thought IG could have some serious control of the map, playing towards the split sides, but this time JJ wants to fight here, gets the cease and desist down. They drop everything onto the Wukong, but Aki's able to take up. In goes Nenny in the front line, but he's just blown up, and now the Shy gets to battle with that Dom and is sitting on the front line, trying to set Gala up for a ton of fury with these arrows. Believe doing a ton of damage himself, zoning them off, just to trade 1-for-1 as we get our first true 5v5.
See how long those fights take? It feels like everybody has like an additional 600 HP. They're like, okay, someone's gonna die eventually. It takes a lot of ultimates for them to be able to get it through. Great job from IG to kind of get something back for their jungler going down. They're gonna steal this blue buff if they can. Aki could invest the smite. Actually, it's not even up.
Or resets.
Taking control of this side of the map.
Mako a little bit too far there with the great entrance, able to dash back towards his team. So rogue Solar Flare flies out, a hijack Solar Flare, and at the end of the day, the blue buff actually wins, Alk.
Blue buff gets to survive for at least another 15 seconds before Aki comes over and takes it. Big win. I'm looking for kind of what we're setting up in terms of the Dragon, the Shy on the side lane. Just he's going to be able to walk away. 30 seconds, though, and we look at what IG and what their economy is looking like. They're going to have the Ashe ultimate coming back up. Abscond Duck is going to be available. JJ on this Vi ultimate is going to be ready to go. NIP maybe going a little too early, though.
Yeah, they're trying to take control of that same pocket of jungle that burned them earlier. PP got the target once more, but he's able to take up a ton of damage. The double Cyclone from Aki, able to get really low health bars on both Rookie and JJ. And what timing there with the Dragon hitting the Rift. I don't know if IG can really contest for this third Drake.
PP God has constantly been on a kind of one-man scouting crew, gets caught out a few times this game, but this time NIP can respond, they can help out their support, and it turns into them picking up their third dragon, so 2 Hextech dragons, and now Soul Point in their pocket, ready to go in 5 minutes. IG, that is going to be a way you can lose this game. Hextech Soul, combat-wise, is one of the best dragons in the game, and allows them to kind of have a very similar style to having an Ashe on your team. Ashe, her auto attack slow, a lot of her abilities do the same. Well, now you have a Hextech Soul that's giving you attack speed, it's giving you that combat slow. Very dangerous to deal with, and those damage dealers on the side for Rookie and Gala, they do not want to have to deal with the fact that their mobility is going to get crippled in this game.
Especially when you're talking about the low range that IG unfortunately have to bring to the table with that Silas pick. 2 item thresholds coming through, double legendaries on a ton of these big time carries. Leave has still had such an impressive game, playing the Ziggs role perfectly. Ludens and Shadow Flame done, just gonna really pack a punch on those low HP targets once he's able to get rearing, throwing bomb after bomb.
And before this dragon spawns, he will definitely have already finished the Lost Chapter going into the Seraph, so that additional amount of shielding. Imagine this game goes to 4 items, then Leave has the option to also optimize for the Zonias. So it's similar to like when we had Skarner on the single target ultimate. Every time you have the QSS stacks, well, suddenly I can't ult them. And I'm looking at JJ, he's like, okay, well, if I'm ulting Leave, that means that he's going to be using his Zonias, allegedly, if he's able to pick that item up. So looking for how IG can accelerate this game a little bit more. Of course, no matter where you are in a game, when you have an Ashe on your team, when you have a Vi, there's always that potential to turn the game around immediately. So we need to see how they're able to execute utilizing those really crucial abilities. And for NIP, keeping the status quo is great for them in a sense that, you know, it lets Nenny get gold, it lets Shanji continue to be a tank, but they do not want this game to be going long as they, in terms of their engage, they're really reliant on PP God and Aki, and I think they would much rather receive an engage coming in from IG.
Do like the idea of maybe stalling this game out, though, until that really critical Hextech Drake comes up, putting IG in a tight bind, wanting to have to play for that Hextech Soul to slow that down with a Baron on the Rift. Maybe playing a bit slow until, you know, that minute or 30 later when both of those apparent buffs are going to be a problem. But we're setting a trap here as the Shy takes the bait. They're going for Shanji. He flashes over the arrow. But Aki is really sneaky here. He knows that he's not spotted in this bot river brush.
They're gonna look for
He's
a fight,
find
Nenny can TP.
Yeah, he's got to go now because Shanji's getting jumped on. Going to look to re-engage. PP God is here. They've got Gala on the side. The public execution does not hit Gala, but he gets stunned up by the solar flare. In goes Nenny. They've got Gala on the backside of the fight, and now they can start turning their focus back towards the front side. But Rookie and the Shy are able to stay up and stave off all the damage. Sure, Gala drops, but IG turn it on their heads for an ace.
Great re-engage coming in from Mako to take all of the low HP members of NIP and make them a shooting range for their solo lanes. And like you said, despite Gala going down, a fantastic return to form here for IG, as they're going to just say, look, Dragon's in a minute 40, but we've got this Baron on our own. Fantastic stuff. I mean, Leave just not in a position to deal damage. He was able to kind of leave out some abilities, but I mean, he's really kind of slow. You really want the Ziggs to eventually whittle away at the opponents. And we'll take a look back at this fight. I think Nenny just doesn't TP quite soon enough. I wanted to see him join the fight. Rookie's already channeling the TP. Where is Nenny? Nenny's at blue buff. So him and Leave are nowhere near this fight. Great flash from Gala. And all of this just to say, they just stalled out for all of those damages. Remember, I was saying earlier, we're going to see a lot of Conqueror at full stacks. You're going to get a huge amount of Omnivamp coming in from Rookie and the rest of the team. So, fantastic fight. I loved what we saw from this IG team. And it doesn't matter about the early game because they did the lane swap. We saw the Shy was behind, but their champions are so robust.
They're so powerful at that close range, right? We talked about how Leave can be the big player. You mentioned it, whittling down with the Ziggs kit. But when we get full-on scrappy at those close range battles with anti-heal just now showing up, I see Aki has some Grievous Wounds available with the Bramble Vest as well on Shanji. But before that, it was just Rookie hunting season. Does get the Zanyas done as well, but we don't have much time to break it down because the Baron is in the hands of IG, but they have to play for this next Hextech Drake.
Really big summoner spells no longer available. Leave, no flash. Nenny, no flash. Almost all of them not available for NIP, where Gala and the Shy are really the only ones that kind of don't have it. Looking also at Mako now not having that flash. Here we go.
PP God tanks up the Ash Arrow. Happy to take priority on these ultimates. Nature's Grass goes across, does not find its roots. In goes JJ. Aki is focused on this dragon. A 50-50 would be a hell of a way to figure out if we've got a Hextech Soul on top. But JJ looking to prime. In goes the Shy on the backside, trying to take Nenny out of the fight here. There's the stolen away Solar Flare, and they've got Aki locked down. Inferno Bomb comes across, but Gala is untouched. Free firing, but gets picked by the public execution. Doesn't matter. Nenny gets dropped as the Comet finds the kill onto Gala, but it's once again Rookie that's the benefactor, left up, able to churn up the damage. Absconda ducks himself to the ace for Invictus Gaming.
A Kingslayer in his own right. Rookie makes it happen in that fight. IG, they're able to grab the dragon, stop the Hextech Stole from coming to fruition, at least this time around for NIP. And with the Baron on their back still, they're going to look to push in on some of these lanes, at the very least get a turret for themselves. Great job. Again, we look at this team fight, and I was worried because PP God's already gotten some of his ultimates taken away. Like you were saying, Nenny and Thashai are just fighting on the side. But this right here, I mean, they're just layering CC after everything, and Aki just dies so quickly in almost every one of these fights. The Wukong has been missing, and right here, Thashai's like, well, I'm not gonna die. And he's like, all right, and Gala's like, okay, cool, so now I've just taken a Ziggs bomb, walks right into it, the Comet takes him down, but it's still ultimately a win. And this is very similar to their win earlier today in the first match of the day for Demacia Cup. Rookie, despite, you know, some of the goings-on of the other lanes, maybe Thashai's getting behind, he has been having, so far, a fantastic set of games.
Impressive only really describes the performance at such a base level.
God.
The fighting
Whoa,
continues
whoa,
here.
whoa.
Ooh. Full Leona combo down there for PP God. Stolen away Malkaio. Rookie staying safe, but you can tell the NIP recognize they can't afford to just let Rookie cook in any of these fights going forward.
I just love that we're getting a mid-jungle here that's really, really dangerous. I mean, you've got JJ, another world champion on another roster, now here with Rookie, someone who has unfortunately not been able to make it to internationals the past couple years, but I think has had performances worthy of someone potentially making it up to, you know, that kind of level yet again. This roster under a lot of stress, but I think when you look at the names on this team for IG, they really want to try to take it all. They're a team that we should be expecting and that fans should hopefully be expecting. They see the names on this, they should be looking to try to potentially go to an MSI or something like that.
Without a doubt. Still a long ways away, though. Trying to build up their synergy as a squad here in the Demacia Cup. But like you mentioned, I'm impressed by the playmaking, the JJ and Rookie, the confidence. And also, it takes away from the fact that Gala doesn't have any pressure. You were talking about it. On previous rosters, Gala didn't have as much stability, was the main target many teams were game planning for. Now, you got to worry about Rookie, JJ. Obviously, we saw how much prio the Shy is taking in this game alone. It's allowed Gala to kind of just settle in and do what he does best, bring tons of damage.
Gala is it's so funny to me to kind of see his story as someone who originally kind of showing up on RNG, doing a little bit, actually all the way back on Sino Gaming, and then kind of bouncing around on teams, was RNG for 2 years as a double MSI champion. Hasn't been able to lift the cup, the Summoners Cup for the World's Championship, but it's kind of cool to see him on a roster where, you know, you have all these names. And for Gala, it has always been like, there's one event that happens in the year. He has a great year for the most part, and then just some like freak accident happens. It happens almost every year at Worlds. So looking forward to what we get from them. As we get back to this game, however, we've got Baron spawning in 40 seconds here. And for NIP, we really needed them to kind of get off to a great start. They had that lane swap, and now they need this team fight to go their way if they want any chances of getting back into this one. You've got Nenny who can get straight into this backline. I think they're trying to prioritize getting level 16 for this Mbessa, which already has seemed to be the case. Leaves at level 16. We have those 3-item core coming in for most of the members. I think this is going to be as good of a fight as they're going to be able to get if they want any chance of being able to go 2-0 here in the group.
Maybe looking to get Aki over towards that level 16, but we are not prioritizing the Baron Pit. It's another stolen Nature's Grasp. Just rinse and repeat here to knock down turrets. But here comes the real run from Shanji towards the side. Inferno Bomb down, but that is onto the tanky JJ. Astro are going to find Aki as the Shy teleports in and marks Aki for death. They burn through the tree. Shanji drops, and the wave gets cut down, but IG can just turn their attention back towards that Baron Pit if they want, but looks like they're going to unrelentingly push down this mid lane. They want an inhibitor broken open.
They've got Demolish, they can do whatever they want, and I love how they've immediately gone into the 4-1. Get 4 people in mid, push this wave, get yourself the inhibitor. Rookie goes in the top lane, starts to prep this wave so that IG can immediately migrate back over into this lane. Seems like instead they want to try to play for the Dragon, saying, Baron, look, we don't think that NIP is going to be under any threat of taking that objective. Right now what we want to do is, especially with Hextech Souls and all the portals are going to be around the map, just stop them from getting into this area, get down vision, and be ready for the next fight coming in 30 seconds.
Another Dragon sweepstakes that we're going to get here. Is Rookie maybe caught trying to get a reset here with the rest of his team back towards base, but Rookie wants to get that Hextech gate. That is a big find. Dragon 24 seconds out. Rookie down for a whole 50 seconds. Could this be the window for Ninjas in Pajamas to get that coveted Hextech Soul?
It's going to be as good as it's going to get right now for this team. They have a couple of options, whether or not they want to actually contest with the numbers advantage, or do they want to just leave it? Oh, no.
Oh, whoa, JJ's going deep with Mako. They finally get back towards leave. He doesn't have the stasis, but he flash tassel charges over to safety. Gala has to go around the nature's grass, but the Shy in the middle of the fray has the Sterex, has a ton of shielding, and look at Gala's damage. Nobody's touching the Ashe, and it's allowing for them to just mow down the competition. The Shy finally drops Gala, starting to run out of juice in the damage department. Down goes Mako. And in comes Aki looking to get towards Galas. He's already got himself the triple kill. Inferno Bomb over top, the quadra kill for Aki. Give him the triple, actually, but more importantly, a Hextech Soul is guaranteed.
And that starts with Rookie falling down. I'm watching Gala try to glide on Ashe, and he does no damage to the tanks.
Zero.
He doesn't have enough armor penetration. I mean, we're looking at Shanji B as super tank in that situation. Fantastic job from NIP as they all tried to get onto leave. He gets out of that fight, so he's able to deal damage. He TPs right back in, and the solo lanes of NIP are able to set up for success. And now with a soul in their back pocket, maybe they go for this Baron. Again, JJ's just respawned. They've got the portals here as well. This might be a bit of a tough ask, and potentially a way that IG can get back in.
The gold difference really starting to become deceitful with that Hextech Soul available. It's important for NIP now. I didn't think they were ever going to get a chance all to really play setup, play to the strengths of the Ziggs. And the problem is they still have a lot of waves to answer for, but if they can get that setup first around Baron, this game really feels flipped on its head. Just a very lucky ward is what spells Rookie's demise.
Yeah, picks him out, gets the flash as well. So, again, they kind of delay the timer. They wait, again, 50 seconds before this play. And I want to see how exactly this fight kind of turns out, because both of the solo laners of NIP are teleporting onto the same ward right next to where PP God is. Leave gets out. He's going to recall after this, after he gets a couple more of those spells in rotation. And then it's up to Aki and the rest of the team to really kind of deal enough onto the back line. The Shy, his Sterex has already gone. Aki's just able to kind of throw spells down, and once the Renekton is gone and kind of tanking some of those, they just lose out in the fight. Yeah, we get to see Gala try as he might, just right-clicking. He's like, okay, I've right-clicked this guy like 100 times, and I've maybe shredded like 1,000 HP off of him. Nice.
80 carry's still weak, Alk. We need more buffs. That's what I'm hearing here.
True. Thank you.
There's no. What else is Gala supposed to do there?
Well, if you ask Lennon, 80 carry seems pretty. It's top lane that needs the nerfs right now. So maybe I kind of maybe have to agree with Cubby. Cubby's 80 carries are pretty strong. 80 carries are pretty important, especially in a competitive sense. So we'll see what ends up happening. Again, Hex Soul in their back pocket. It's just an incredible combat buff. That slow is really, really nice. We've got that Baron as well. Feels like a kind of a tense fight here. They do have the Maokai ultimate as well as the Ashe, so anybody who's out of position, there's no flash here for Nenny or Aki or Leave. So IG could actually just find a fight right now before these summoner spells are back up, and it could turn into a really good one.
Their territory is really starting to thin as well with that mid lane wave. Supers, they drop the Ashe Arrow on top of Shanji, the tankiest tree of all the land. But can he survive the might of all of IG? Charms come across from Mako as the rest of the squad dives in. It's just a meat grinder on top. Everybody packed in like sardines. But it's Nenny that comes out on top. Gala's damage this time is enough to get it done alongside JJ. We don't need Baron. We're just going to battle it out in the mid lane where IG find themselves a critical game win.
They've got the wave on their backs. They're just going to go and walk up. JJ also has his GA ready to go, trade a little bit, let him die, he'll respawn. IG are going to move up 2-0, and NIP, unless they find a miracle win and IG end up losing, I think that's just
Oh,
locked up the group. NIP are no longer able to kind of make it on through to the bracket stage.
expected result, but took a lot more fight than many were wondering about. IG get to that 2-0 mark. But what a fight put up from Ninjas in Pajamas for a roster that had a lot of question marks, you know, not too impressive on paper. I think this is a pretty good showing, especially how they're able to fight back down horrendously at points in that game against IG.
It was a tough early game. The lane swap obviously went in favor of NIP, and then I think they just played the map well. That first 15 minutes, they moved the Shy into places where NIP were not really matching. They obviously did not get enough damage onto turrets so that Ziggs can really abuse that structure damage on his passive and his W. So I don't know, like that was one where NIP felt maybe a little bit lost. They also didn't have enough damage in a lot of instances. Nenny getting called out multiple times definitely slowed down the game for IG. And while Leave is there pumping out DPS, the rest of his team's just not really in a great position, not able to kind of get those champions low enough beforehand. What I would have loved to have seen is you have these great frontliners with the Maokai, with the Leona. Let Ziggs take them down to maybe 50% HP, maybe get a large chunk of their HP ready to go, and then you can send in Aki as like this backline missile. You have the public execution. Literally, you have Mbessa sending herself to kill the lowest HP target. But that was never the case. They never really found one, and when you're kind of sending your Wukong to do all of the damage up front, we saw Aki fall very quickly in a lot of fights early on. So unfortunate for NIP. And we look at the rest of our matchups, IG and NRG later, or RNG later, LGDY versus NIP. That's just the group locked up immediately. IG, they can't have a losing record versus either. It doesn't matter if they have a losing record. Those two teams cannot make it into the bracket stage since IG already beat LGD earlier. I mean, yeah, look at the damage from Leave. He has 10,000 over Gala, and it doesn't matter.
It just doesn't. It does not matter. What a vibe switch up, though, right? The last 2 days we've seen of these groups, right? Nothing has been decided through the first 4 matches. It's been far from the expected results. So it's nice to see the team, the hyped-up IG squad, already punching their ticket towards what has got to be the most fun match of the Gauntlet stage, right? Whoever IG matches up against with those staple LPL orgs waiting.
I'm actually gonna take a look because the matches are already technically decided. The teams that are waiting in the bracket stage. We can kind of take a look at the rest of these stats that are here available for us. But I mean, beautiful stuff coming in from Mako in terms of his kill percentage. Great job from the Shy. We were saying that he was down a lot of gold, but making really good use. That damage to gold percentage, almost 200%, the highest on his team. I mean, I feel bad for Leave. His was 300% of his gold turned into damage. I mean, that just means how effectively are you able to actually turn resources into hopefully meaningful team fight damage. Ziggs, I think, is a bit more abusive on the DPS charts just because he's a poke champion. But yeah, just an unfortunate one for NIP despite some really great games so far in Demacia Cup.
You get to see some of the recap of this match. And talking about Leave, always had pretty great positioning, getting as much damage as he could down, but constantly with how scrappy the rest of these comps looked, just couldn't really afford to step up too much further. You had a Abscond of Duck Dashes available. Slice and Dice was always a threat. You could have the Rakan pop out and drop Leave as well. Just such a tough spot to play in. But this was IG really showing off the execution of their comp, constantly in some of these fight wins, able to layer CC over and over again. And Gala's positioning always just so on point. Even when he drops in this play, right, when he gets clipped by the public execution, hit by that rogue Ziggs bomb, it takes so much to finally knock him down that after that, the fight is able to be cleaned up by Invictus Gaming. This was the big turning point, though, that luck of the draw for NIP catching Rookie on award.
Yeah, and that was the one moment where, aside from the early game, it was like, okay, maybe they're able to grab it, right? There's also a game where NIP do end up losing with a Hex Tech Soul in their back pocket, just wasn't quite enough. We'll see what that actually ends up turning into as, we have the rest of our games still to play. We still have 2 more games on the day before we close close out the broadcast. And for the team, I mean, it's going to be IG immediately having to go up against RNG after this. I like this group setup just because it just feels like a bunch of the players on this roster for Invictus Gaming have to play up against older orgs they've played on. For this matchup, it was Rookie versus NIP. For IG next game, it's going to be Gala going up against his former org in RNG. And I got a look at what the matchups are going to be. Coming out of this group, the winner of this group does have to face up against TES, which is another organization, the one that Mako just left and Rookie was previously on. So a lot of history there for these guys, and hopefully we get some fun all-chat banter. The only one we've gotten is from JEG earlier on, with Scout kind of throwing some words around, but I wanted to see a little bit more, especially for Rookie, who's been around here in the LPL for such a long time.
Really hits in the nostalgia part of your heart, getting to see Mako take on Jackie Love over on, I believe, on top esports.
TES? Yeah.
TES, yep. Who do you feel like we're getting the player of the game for here in this one? You feeling Rookie, maybe on that Silas, very impactful. Gala's Ash. I feel like it's Rookie's award to run away with.
Yeah, it was Rookie for sure. If they're not going to give it to Rookie, I think JJ deserves it again. He's already gotten the MVP once around.
Wow.
All right. I'm just going to say
carry agenda.
This might be the KEKW media vote. I will say, I think Rookie put in a lot of work this game. He obviously had a lot of help. I think what kind of swung it maybe is the fact that Gala had really impactful ultimates, right? Like we saw both of the plays on Deneni from mid lane, makes that play, makes it happen for the team. So I can see why they were able to give it to him. Also just, I think, kind of a tough game for him to play as Ash, getting outranged by the Ziggs, has to deal with Leona and then the Wukong going on top of him, but still I think Gala, like we said, performed really admirably. Everybody across the board here for IG kind of putting in their work.
Gala gonna look to use the inspiration of the media MVP, as Alk has dubbed it, going into that match against the former foe. We're gonna take a short intermission. On the other side, we'll take a look at Invictus Gaming taking on RNG. Don't go anywhere.